So the first question is from Ashik, and he asks, "Good video, guys. I noticed there's 3 girls and 2 of you. I actually face this situation a lot. How should I handle it because the numbers aren't even?" The way the guys and I handle this situation is basically the first one to talk to the group of girls gets the hottest one. And obviously the wingman has to talk to the other girls. So let's say, for example, you are the first one to talk to the group and now you have chosen which girl you want to talk to. That should be your only focus. Don't worry about the friends. That's what you have a wingman for. When you go out, you have to have a wingman you can trust. A lot of guys go out and have to make sure that their wingman's doing a good job. But if you have to make sure your wingman's doing a good job, then that's not a good wingman. For example, the guys and I never worry about each other because we've gone out together so much that we already know that we can rely on one another 100%. On the other hand, let's say that your friend is being a boss that night and you are now the wingman. You must do everything in your power to keep those girls occupied. And if you have to keep more than one girl occupied, I would suggest not singling one out. You're probably going to have to occupy both of them. That's what being a good wingman is about. Making sure that you occupy the friends while your boy gets to do his thing. Notice in the video how Jesse was talking to both of them. He could have just as easily started talking to the hotter one and left the fatty behind. But he knew that if he did that, that would probably resulted in me having blue balls that night. If you're the wingman and you're occupying more than one girl, make sure that you are the most entertaining guy on the planet. You want these girls to feel like they just met their new best friend. The reason you'd want to do this is because you would expect the same from your wingman if the roles were reversed. Personally, I trust that Kong and Jesse would both take on 10 fatties for my ass any day. And the second question was from Allie, followed by a lot of numbers. What happened when you guys got home and there was no party? I mean, how did you guys get out of it? Okay, so a lot of you guys asked this question and wanted to know how it went down. So here's what happened. We got to the house and nobody was there. It was just the 3 girls, Jesse and I. We told them that everyone was on their way and we should play some drinking games while we wait. In the middle of the drinking games, I told my girl that I had to show her something. So I took her upstairs and I showed her something. And we had sex. The end. So here's the thing. Once they're at your house, they're already committed to this party you're throwing. And by the time they find out there's no party, it's too late. You've already had your fun. Just a side note, we've never had the girls get mad at this because they semi-expect this before they come over. Whether it's a party, swim in our jacuzzi, or some hand-cooked food, they understand that there's a possibility that they may just be coming over for sex. Spudboy122 asks, "Is it just me or did those girls come across a bit bitchy? Or is that the standard for you guys and you somehow managed to manipulate the situation to hide their bitchiness?" Personally, I thought that was pretty standard. I didn't think these girls were very bitchy at all. I can kind of see where you got that though. I think the reason you thought these girls were bitchy was because Edward's girl constantly wanted to leave. Edward's girl gave him a shit test by saying she was going to leave instead of giving her name, and then continued the shit test by saying her name was Skipper instead of giving her real name. Edward plowed through the shit test by continuing the joke and saying his name was Gilligan, which was really good up until that point. But after that is when it started to go downhill. Edward was being too passive the entire time and wasn't keeping the conversation interesting enough. He seemed to be more interested in what Jesse was saying rather than the conversation he could have been having with the girl right in front of him. If Edward took the nerves out of his voice and kept the conversation flowing, then the girl might not have felt so awkward and have that urge to leave. The next question is from Mad Virus, and he asks, "Timestamp 420. I'm not sure if it's important, but you have completely missed that she suddenly dropped all she's been saying for I didn't even notice that. Did that mean anything in this interaction? And in general, how are you supposed to react when a girl compliments your accessory or a piece of clothing? Thanks." Okay, so to me, I don't think she was really complimenting his accessories here. I think she could care less what kind of watch he was wearing because if she really cared, she would have taken a closer look. What I saw was the girl shouting random bullshit to distract the guys so she can make her getaway. I think Jesse caught on to this, and instead of acknowledging it, he completely ignored her and moved on. The reason this is good is because although Edward's girl wasn't really into him, Jesse's girl was definitely into Jesse. So by doing this, he bought himself a little more time. Because he spent this whole time making this connection with a girl, so why waste that just because this one girl over here is feeling awkward? As for your second question, if a girl compliments anything you're wearing or any accessory, a simple thank you is good enough. GBX asks, "Any tips on flirting? I noticed Edward had a very needy vibe instead of a fun, playful one. This is kind of a broad question, so next time if you guys can give us maybe a little bit more of a specific question, we can give you more specific answers. But to answer your question, flirting can literally be anything and everything that you do. And what do I mean by that? I mean the way you look at a girl, the way you talk to a girl, the tone of voice that you use, the choice of words that you use, the body language that you send off, the amount that you touch her. All of these and a shit ton more are different ways that you can flirt with a girl. Some forms of flirting show that you're definitely into the girl, and other forms are more subtle. It depends upon if you want to tell the girl that you're fucking into her, or if you're more into playing games. Copus asks, Edward seems to be in interview mode. Would it be better for him to keep bringing up more topics and try to hit it off, or continue with the points that he's already brought up and try to salvage the questions he's asked? If what you're talking about is boring the girl, never try to save it by talking about it more. That's just gonna push her further and further away from you. If you wanna make a connection with a girl, you're gonna have to keep bringing up topics until one hits. It might be the style of clothing she wears, and it might be how you just discovered how much waxing your chest really hurts. What you talk about doesn't matter, as long as you find a topic that she finds interesting. By the way, there are gonna be times where you can't find anything to talk about with a girl. Don't worry about it. It happens to everyone. That just means she's boring as fuck, and you should go find another girl to talk to. Matthew KH asks, I should point out something here which I think Edward does wrong. You guys should correct me. I think his posture is not good enough. He leans toward the girls too much, calling Jesse and Jason, stand straight and cool. Yes, you are correct. There are a lot of points in this video that I didn't bring up because, honestly, for most of you, it would be information overload. But this is a good point to bring up. Edward was slumped forward and looked very needy to the girl. If you have bad posture and you're leaning too close to the girl, it's gonna come off as try hard, and it's gonna leave you in a very vulnerable position. Your body language is basically telling the girl, I'm really into you, so don't worry about me walking away first, because that's not gonna happen. What you should be doing is either standing up straight, or what I like to do is even lean back a little bit. Because this shows the girl that you aren't very invested in the conversation. Therefore, if she wants you to stay, she's gonna have to work a little bit harder. If you wanna see what good posture looks like, the next time you go out, look around you when you're at the bar or club and find someone who's an obvious boss. What you wanna do is mimic his body language. Suck my dick asks, so clearly the girls didn't respond to his open and this approach was a sinking ship. What could he have said / where could he have steered the conversation to in the beginning after the opening bomb to try and turn this interaction around? If my opener bombs and I want to try a second time, one thing that I like to do is openly admit how horrible it was. I'll say something like, wow, that was really bad, wasn't it? Let me try that again. Hi, I'm Jason. And you are? Or if I make a really bad joke, I'll say, well, that didn't work out the way I planned because this is the part where you're supposed to laugh. Anyway, who are you? It may sound awkward, but if you steer away from the initial line that fucked you over and just continue to try to get to know them, they'll usually just forget about it and move on. That is, of course, as long as you keep your cool. Finally, Abraham says, I watched both of the boot camp videos about up-talk. I'm guessing nerves got the best of them and didn't realize they're up-talking. How do you stop it from happening? Or even if you're doing it yourself in the middle of the interaction. This is something that you constantly have to work on. I mean, I'll admit, even to this day, I still do up-talk once in a while. The way I was able to keep myself from up-talking was to keep that thought in the back of my head during every interaction. And I suggest you do that too. The more girls that you talk to equals more chances to hone that skill. After you talk to a bunch of girls, you'll start to notice when you up-talk, maybe even mid-conversation. Obviously after that, you'll get to a point where it becomes second nature and your body just takes care of it automatically. And of course you're gonna have those random outbursts where it comes out, but you have to realize after you've honed that skill, then it's gonna be a lot easier to catch that the next time it happens. Alright guys, that's it for this week's Q&A. Make sure you leave your questions in the comment section of the next video. And just a reminder, 1, keep the questions about the video that you just watched. And 2, make sure that the questions are a little more specific so that we can give you more specific answers. It'll help you out more. Cool. And I'll see you next week.